Hi and welcome. I'm Angela, and today I'm sharing on the topic is finding the one a matter of divine time. So if you're not familiar with the one, what I mean by that is a life partner. Some people have called that the one. So today I'm going to share a few points on soul relationships, soul contracts, that you might like to refer to it. I don't really like the term contract. I believe it's sort of soul affiliations sometimes, soul relationships and soul mates, soul agreements that you have. So contract may feel a bit heavy for some of us. I remember years ago when Carolyn May started talking about soul contracts or sacred contracts, I found them quite serious. So in terms of finding the one, I wanted to share a few points about soul relationships that people may find themselves in. So if you have any questions about relationships that you'd like to share as well, you can put them in the comments. I sort of can find the comments from where I'm watching now. But in terms of soul relationships and contracts, there are certain spousal relationships, meaning husband and wife or parents of children, that are fixed points that are a soul arrangement or a soul agreement or a soul contract, whatever you like, whatever term floats your boat. So those are certain fixed points. And for example, you may have had a marriage and a child, and you might have said to yourself, there is no way I would have been with this partner except to have this child. So that's the kind of feeling that you will know with the one that you're meant to partner with, that you're destined basically to meet, to create a child. And those contracts are usually you'll feel a sort of pull towards them, and you'll have fated events. So you might walk into a store and you'll meet the person, and there was no way that you would have met them unless you walked into that store. And if you look back at the relationship and how you met, you will notice that there were certain setups to arrange the meeting of these two people so that you could come together. So certain fixed points are, if you're destined to have a kid, that would be a certain fixed point. That's divinely agreed to before you come to the physical body. So your soul agrees to partner with a certain family line. So if you think about a parent, two parents of a child, that child is inheriting the family karma of both parents. So the child will also, at the soul level, consider, okay, which families am I going to join in order to make my soul grow in a life. So that's why it's important to have these fixed points in terms of soulmates, to know what the child can resolve if they pick these two parents. So it's quite a beautiful dance if you think about it, because at the soul level we're looking for particular parents to help us resolve our personal needs. So I'm going to bring up other things about divine timing when it comes to relationships that perhaps you think you're in a relationship and you might be contemplating, do I really want to stay in this relationship? Is there someone else for me? Because I find that now a lot of people believe that they could be in a relationship and it's not working, and they start to fantasize, maybe I could find somebody else. And then finally I'll go to the last position you might find yourself in if you're single at the moment, and you may have been single throughout your life for quite a time and you're still looking for the one. So the second option, I found some people, you're with the relationship, it's not quite working, but your fantasy or emotional body would want to get out of the relationship because you think there could be somebody better for you. Now, when you're not involved with creating a child per se, those spousal relationships or romantic relationships have a lot more fluidity, because they're not fixed points where you're destined to create another life or call in another family karma for a particular child and the future generations of that child. So there's a lot more individual free will. You could call it that. I don't see it as such. I see it there is a lot more in self-direction about how you're going to engage in the relationship. So sometimes you can often feel that if you're in a relationship that's not working, how can you make it work? Or should I get out of this relationship because there could be someone better? So instead of that point of view, I'd like to invite you to look at it from a different perspective, and you can simply ask, what's the purpose of this relationship? If it's to leave the relationship, if you're really feeling like you want to leave, because you need to ask more from your soul, what's the purpose of the relationship? Because that will get you out of the relationship more quickly with a bit less emotional suffering. But it'll move you forward quickly. And I have certain processes to help you with the soul to ask those questions when I work with people, or some meditations on YouTube as well. So you can just really start to feel in, connect to your heart, and ask, what's the purpose of this relationship if you really want to get out? However, caveat for those of you in a relationship that fantasize about a better person, I invite you to really, again, ask what's the purpose of the relationship, because sometimes we try to get out of a relationship too easily instead of sticking through it and actually seeing, what did you come to share with this soul? What did you come to grow with this person? What perhaps were the limitations of yourself you came to blast through with this person? What was perhaps the expanded version of yourself that you were too scared to share that this person's now triggering? What could be the gift in the suffering of the relationship, perhaps? Or if you feel this person's really triggering a lot of your feelings of suffering or lack, there, I can guarantee you there's a soul relationship that needs to be understood, the purpose of that relationship. That's a really key one, because I notice that we too easily try to escape from difficult relationships. And I've found that people that ask what the purpose of the soul relationship is have been able to resolve some really old karmic energies between the two and have managed to stick out the relationship, especially if you've been in a relationship with children or you've had a lot of history together. Instead of just throwing the relationship away, you can actually find some very potent energies that will transform you, and you may not have the same love that a new romance can give. You may create a different love. So the third possibility, where you might be single, you might be chronically single or have single periods in your life quite a bit. So those of you who are experiencing that, I know it can cause a lot of psychological stress. So the first thing is to ensure that you're not comparing yourself to some unrealistic, very goal-driven concept of relationships, that by some age you should be married, you should have children, you should do this and you should do that, because that's worsening your experience. And in terms of divine timing, if we try to talk to the divine about finding love in that manner, the divine's just going to keep on forcing you to see that you're measuring your sense of worth by a very personality and human-based concept of success. And it's just going to keep on showing you how limited your perception of self and your self-worth is, until you actually go, I've had enough. I'm done with measuring myself with some concept of success in love. So I'm going to repeat this because I find a lot of people who may be single or chronically finding themselves single for periods, or you've had a breakup and you're finding yourself single and thinking, when am I going to find this one? If you keep measuring yourself by being successful in a relationship, by having a sort of perfect ideal life, the divine will constantly force you to see that you're measuring yourself by a very limited perception of yourself. And that's why you're constantly suffering, until you start to see, oh, is that really how I limit myself? And do I really think that little of myself? So I had an experience of being single quite a bit and having breakups. And I had a lot of lessons about understanding how I felt limited and small. And each partner kept on showing me another aspect of that limited sense of the self. So I know it really well. And now I see myself differently from more the soul point of view, and beyond that, the higher self point of view. I really was looking to expand and express myself differently. So for those of you looking for divine timing with finding the one and being single, one of the best strategies you can do is to find out how you can feel your expanded self. It could be just going for a walk and feeling the beauty of your breath and nature. It could be playing chess if that really turns you on. It's doing things that open up your energy and help you understand where you are going from that yo-yo of seeing your expanded self to this very limited part of yourself. Because once you actually see how you limit yourself and you don't fall into that habit, what happens is the divine can work with you to start showing you where to find someone that matches that expanded sense of yourself, or someone that's going to help you grow and grow and grow into what your soul came to resolve. So not all relationships are going to be pleasant, happy ever after, Prince Charming, princess, whatever relationships. They're going to force you to grow. They're going to be uncomfortable. And some people may not be skilled at dealing with the uncomfortable in a relationship. Those are the other skills to start really discovering with your friends, with a coach or other mentors. Learn how to be with the uncomfortable feelings, because any divine timed relationship is going to challenge you to grow. You're also going to have to risk losing that person to anything. It could be an accident, or maybe the relationship will end by choices that you don't understand. So there's a lot of vulnerability involved in finding the one, and anything you can do to expand that bigger part of yourself that sees beyond your small self helps you connect to that, allows you to feel that sense of the divine in yourself, and then handle the feelings of uncomfortable emotions and fears about losing someone. That's going to be all really, really great material to help you start growing and growing, to prepare yourself for the one. You can do specific meditation as well to focus on preparing your heart for the one. And I have a few meditations on YouTube as well, so after the video I'll put a link in that you can actually just feel into that heart center and start really calling in that partner, with the caveat of opening up to all aspects of that relationship at the soul level. Our personality is going to kick and stream and maybe not like certain aspects of the person, and maybe resist and try from the mind to force the relationship. But at the soul level, we have committed, if you really want to find the one, you've committed to really go through some deep process with the person. In this period of our culture, less and less relationships last our whole life, and we're also living longer. But whatever it is, your soul has contracted to really stick it out with someone and build, then part of you internally needs to understand what it takes to really stick out with someone, and also agree to support their journey, even if at times they annoy you, you don't like their behavior, or you don't actually approve of what their actions are. It's a different way of being with someone and loving someone. So those are the three pointers I'm giving on divine timing and relationships. And if people have questions, you can put them in the comments as well. I'll put the links for the soul relationship as well. I'm connecting to the soul relationship. I've got a meditation on YouTube. I have to find it. Yeah. And if you've got specific relationship questions or issues, you can pop those in the comments as well. I do read the comments, but not always straight away. But I have a look at the video comments because we have them here on Facebook. And on Mondays, I will be doing a 9:30 Eastern in New York time Facebook Live on different topics that come into my head or from the comments. And also that's 1:30 p.m. in Sydney. So thanks for joining, and I hope to see you on the Mondays. Thanks, everyone.